Alright, if you're looking at how I spent my Labor Day, so check it out. Digging at this plot that I've been watering excessively for about a week. Dug it up, just turn it over a bit. Watered excessively for about a week. And now I'm going through and I actually today decided to start hand sifting. This is my first doing some liquid sifting where the clay will end up settling on top of the silt and sand down there. And the detritus is just up the little organic materials floats on top. But you basically scrape the clay off below the water line on top of the sand there. So that's one method. The other one I did today, and actually I'm really happy with the results, I just sat with a wheelbarrow and hand sifted big chunks of clay. Here's an example of some chunks of clay that I would find in the soil because it was so chunky, and I ended up with count on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 buckets of clay soaking, so that it's a little more malleable and we can use for mixing, which I'm going to get to that here in a minute. But why I'm separating all this stuff? So this is what's left of the soil after I sifted the biggest chunks of clay out. Okay, you know, a little brown. It's clearly kind of like nutrient lacking. Like it needs to be a little bit more darker and soil. I mean, this is good dirt, but there's like earthworm castings and stuff like that in there. But we're gonna make it a little bit better. But this is a pretty good sifted material to work with, and I'm pretty excited to see how it mixes as cob, which we're gonna get into here in a minute. The other resource and I don't know product I was able to get by sifting all this is worms. Yeah, each of these buckets are full of a couple handfuls of dirt per worm. To give you an idea, I found quite a bit of worms, and I would just grab them up and throw them in a bucket with some dirt and just keep adding more worms to the bucket. And that was 6 buckets. All these are full of earthworms. I'm pretty excited. So once again, look at all those buckets of clay, sifted soil, and worms. All that product from me taking all day to dig up that much. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, so I want to dig up this whole section, okay, and I want to separate all this stuff out so that I can then basically rebed it with a sifted and more cultured, highly amended soil, right, that I'm making myself. In the background there, you can see under that gray tarp, I got some soil going, and actually the bottom of that compost pile, or what was a compost pile there, is still there as its own soil behind there. So we're just kind of amending the earth as we go. But this is kind of a different thing. You know, I'm going to be using that clay, and we're going to also bring in straw, and we're going to come over here, and once this is all cleaned out, I want to do an earthen floor. Yes, an earthen floor. I'm going to scrape this clean as best as I can, and then bring in some pea gravel and stuff, and then we're going to put an earthen floor on top of that, and then we're going to use clay and straw to insulate the back wall. So this clay I'm going to be using as a building material. Alright, so obviously we got a lot going on here. It was Labor Day. I couldn't run to the dump with all of this, which was the plan otherwise. So it was a day that I couldn't really get a lot done real world style, but I had an opportunity to vet this process, and I'll probably create some kind of screen, in a frame, method for sifting this stuff too, maybe speed it up a little bit. But I gotta be honest, I enjoyed doing it by hand for a number of reasons. You're really able to get to know the soil. So what's gonna happen when I have a big hole here? Like I said, I want to re-amend it and rebuild it. But the plan is to basically create underground a sloped incline, right? And then to really hard pat that down put some gravel on top of that, and basically create a bed that collects rainwater underneath into a drain, and then goes to a pump that then recycles the nutrients and rainwater back into the bed in a very passive way. And boom, here's the best part, is all this is in a larger scope in preparation for when all these leaves fall, man. I'm gonna have a big hole to put them all in. And then it'll be set up like that forever, for years and years and years. And every year when the leaves fall, just rake them together and put them in this hole, which every year will get a little bit more compacted down and need more nutrients. So that's pretty much the game plan here, to create like a perma bed with an infinite loop of water that collects at the bottom into a drain system and then up through a pump. So yeah, I know. Why aren't you working on the roof? Well, I'm in dialogue with the City Planning Commission now about what to do about it. Again, we might tear the whole thing down. We might reform the whole house into a 2-story greenhouse. We don't know. What I do know is today this was awesome, and I'm stoked to share it with you. Sweet. Bye.